Yeah, Dr. Suparna, if you can hear me, if you can go first, that will be so much appreciated.
Just a sec, just a sec. Let me start the webinar. Let me start the webinar. I am just shifting the webinar on YouTube. Give me 1 minute only.
Okay. Yeah, it is a,
Thank you very much. Now we would welcome you all on World Bee Day. Today is World Bee Day, and our dearest friend, Dr. Sakat Kumar Basu from Canada, who is our guide and mentor in this topic and subject series of subjects. He is really ocean of knowledge. So we are conducting our 741st webinar on World Bee Day, and he is on the mission to save bees from last so many years. I salute him, Dr. Sakat Kumar Basu.
Thank you.
Excellent topic and excellent mission. I mean, nobody is thinking about bees, and they are the responsible factor for cross-pollination and the development, genetic and social development of our crops. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome Suparna ji. I would like to welcome Dr. Sakat Kumar Basu, and I hope Sanghamitra ji will also join.
Yes, my student Sanghamitra was supposed to join today, but she has been diagnosed with a very, distinct form of COVID. So she's under complete isolation and is very sick. So I'm praying that she gets well very soon. So I'll cover her part too.
God bless her.
Unfortunately, she got infected with COVID and has been completely isolated, and she's staying home. And she's so sick that she cannot leave the bed right now. So we have to excuse Dr. Sanghamitra Nath for tonight's part. I will cover her part. No problem. I'll finish and cover her part too.
I would like to request Dr. Sakat Kumar Basu to introduce Dr. Suparna Mukherjee.
Okay. Sure. It's thank you, Pavanji. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Suparna Sanyal Mukherjee, the head of the Department of Education, School of Humanities, Sikomskill University, and located in Birbhum, Shantiniketan, West Bengal. Professor Mukherjee is a renowned social anthropologist who has worked extensively on the Forest Policies Act and their impact on the tribal communities. Her research is the first one that to highlight the impact of the forest policy of India on the life of the tribals and how it has impacted them. So she has been a pioneering researcher in that particular front, spent considerable part of her time working on various tribal communities across eastern India with special focus on the districts of West Midnapur and on the Santhal and other tribal communities that he has worked. She's a celebrated a research celebrity who has been awarded over 35 awards and accolades, both from the government and other private organizations for her outstanding research. She has been guiding around 10 PhD students who will be finishing their PhD programs pretty soon. She was recently the coordinator of the PhD cell committee of the Sikomskill University. She just finished her responsibility and is possibly going to be returned back as dean and professor of the PhD committee once again back into the university, because she has been doing an outstanding job and raised 10 crore of rupees as funding for her organization for the PhD cell. And she has found supervision for 832 students of them connected them with various universities across India. So she has been a prolific researcher, prolific worker with a very good publication track record. Her publications come up in very high impact journals in social sciences and anthropology. And this is her first time that she is appearing on the IRES platform. So I welcome Professor Sharnal Mukherjee to make her August presentation tonight. And following her, then I'll talk about the bees. So I'll request her, she has possibly a PowerPoint presentation to make. So if you need screen sharing, Professor Mukherjee, please go ahead. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure on our part, on my part, and on behalf of IRS to welcome you. And I believe that you will be participating in other future talks that we will be having on the IRS platform too. We will not be deprived of your kind attention and support. Thank you very much.
आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिए मैडम, म्यूट है आप.
Yes, madam is mute, so she needs to unmute. Agnihotriji, hope you are doing good.
Sir, fine, sir.
Pranam.
Pranam, your grace.
Salute to your energy, and I see a vibrating energy always in you. It's impact of too much Ayurvedic medication that you have taken.
Sir, command over language and subject, it is one of the greatest virtue vests upon you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I hope she connects.
Ma'am, your voice is not coming.
No, she's not. Like, is she talking?
Yeah, she has started talking, but we are not.
Oh, unmute. Maybe Dr. Sharma, Pavan Sharma ji, if he just gives her a call and tells her that that her phone is mute, maybe she's missing.
Oh, maybe.
Pavan Sharma ji, can you please give her a call and tell her that her phone is mute, so we cannot hear her?
No, her mic is unmute. It is seen in our participant list. There might be some connection problem.
Let me just leave the meeting for 2 minutes and let me give her a call so that she will know. Okay.
She might be attending call. No, she's not.
She is connecting. I have called her.
Yes, we can see. Yes, madam, we can see you now.
No voice is coming.
Yeah, I called her and I told her to unmute. So I can see the screen sharing, but her voice is not coming.
Yeah, you are right. Voice is not coming.
Yeah, is her phone still mute?
Is it possible now?
Yes, we can hear you now, madam. We can hear you now.
Okay.
But echo
Now
is
we
there.
can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Then first I have come to the introduction. The anthropology of bees relied upon
No,
their
you ma'am,
skills.
you can off one device. Keep with one device only. Because there is echo.
Mic.
Any problem?
Speaker and mic off of other device.
हाँ स्क्रीन शेयरिंग को अगर हटा दिया जाए तो बेहतर होगा शायद।
नहीं, स्क्रीन शेयर को
Screen is okay.
आप उससे ही की-
कोई एक रखा जाए, जी।
आप व्हाट्सएप पे प्रेजेंटेशन शेखर जी को भेज देंगे, शेखर जी प्ले कर सकते हैं।
Okay, I can come to the other portion and I am telling you. Is it audible now? Is it audible now?
It is audible.
Okay. This introduction, the anthropology of bees relied upon their, stewards and the interferers in bee culture. In the space relationship between the beekeepers has depended upon urban beekeeping practices, which is becoming popular nowadays. The development of the honey beekeepers in the remote sensation sectors of the forest cover areas of the rural Bengal, and the practice of countermeasures against pesticides damage to the honeybees in modern era. Next, I can come to the next. Then the main objectives
अग्निहोत्री सर थोड़ा देखिए ना, सपोर्ट कीजिए।
Yes sir. हाँ नहीं अभी
मैं थोड़ा तो 2 मिनट में
नहीं
यूट्यूब
कोई नहीं। हाँ yes, no problem.
आप म्यूट है।
सर मैम आप जिस डिवाइस से प्रेजेंटेशन दे रही हैं वो म्यूट है, उसको अनम्यूट कर लीजिए। आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है, नहीं आ रही। एक बार अनम्यूट करिए ना।
now is it
Yes,
audible?
yes.
Now is it?
Yes.
Now it is clear. Now we can hear you.
Okay. The pollination system in the Anthropocene, which has been the various plant species account for 70% to 80% of the biodiversity of terrestrial ecosystem. The extinction of pollination or pollinated animals and the plant species will the loss of biodiversity worldwide. This is the reason why quality and quantity of pollinators have such importance. The agroecosystem on which humans depend for much of their food production, many arable crops and fruit trees require pollination for fruit and seed production. Bees are one of the diverse groups of the animal responsible for
मैम एक
pollination
डिवाइस का वीडियो ऑफ कर लीजिए, चाहे तो एक डिवाइस का वीडियो ऑफ कर लीजिए।
एक डिवाइस का स्पीकर और माइक म्यूट रहना चाहिए, तो इको बंद होगी।
अब बंद ना, सेम प्रॉब्लम।
Continue on audio.
एक डिवाइस को आप जिसको यूज ना कर रहे हैं उसको कमरे से बाहर रख दीजिए ऑफ करके, तभी हो पाएगा।
नहीं, वो एक से प्रेजेंटेशन दे रही है, एक से बोल रही है।
यही लग रहा है मुझे।
प्रेजेंटेशन जिससे दे रही है उसमें माइक और स्पीकर दोनों म्यूट कर दी।
हाँ,
जिससे प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे हैं उसका माइक और स्पीकर दोनों म्यूट।
इसको म्यूट कर देते हैं।
म्यूट भी और स्पीकर भी बंद, और जिससे बोलना है उससे बोलिए, उसमें अनम्यूट कर।
Is it okay?
हाँ, यस,
Is it okay now?
100%। Kindly continue.
So welcome to IRES Samriddhi. The topic is impact of bees and ethnography in anthropological perspectives. My introduction has been given by the Dr. Shaikat Boshu, so I am not going to the my introduction anymore. So what has happened? The anthropology of bees relied upon their stewards and the interface between the nature and culture. It also helps to unravel the ways in which the species relationship changes the beekeepers. The ethnography has been depended upon three basic points, which is that number one, urban beekeeping practices, which is becoming popular. The of honey beekeeping, the hobby of the wood forest covered rural Bengal, and the practice of encounter measures that the against pesticide damage to the honeybees sector. The basic objectives were to maintain biodiversity and food security, to protect natural and agricultural ecosystem as the number and quality of pollinators is decreasing on a global aspects, to restore pollinators plant, and in the forest and grasslands cannot produce this, they have become the extinct right at this moment. Am I audible now?
Yes, madam, clearly.
Okay. Then the study focused on Christes and Helmbridge, who has been worked upon in their neighboring society. They have been separated from the nature and culture. They have been relied upon various types of honeybees, and these honeybees are protecting and emphasizing them for the specifically the nature itself. So in that case, we can emphasizing and we can rely upon that the anthropologist, specifically the cultural anthropologist and social cultural anthropologist, who has been relied upon various types of work. Samantha Hearn, who has been worked on the important points regarding the human-animal relationship. What is the human-animal relationship?
मैम फिर आपकी आवाज म्यूट हो गई है, फिर आपकी आवाज बंद हो गई मैम। मैम अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, आपकी आवाज आनी बंद हो गई है।
रहा है, नेटवर्क की प्रॉब्लम थोड़ा चल रहा है. So 70 to 80% of biodiversity, the terrestrial ecosystem, the pollinated animals and plant species will directly lead to the loss of biodiversity worldwide. This is the reason why quality and quantity of pollinators have such importance. In agroecosystem on which humans depend for much of their food production, many arable crops and the fruit trees require pollination for fruits and seed production. These are one of the diverse groups of animals responsible for pollination, and they are particularly familiar to where the number of other insects is declining. In anthropographic perception, the human honeybee relationship, beekeeping is part of a broader pollination system that includes the landscape in the sense that it cannot exist in isolation from the ecosystem. Therefore, the question of what it means to live together with honeybees need to understood as a multi-species relationship that cannot be reduced to the two parties of human and honeybees. Then the study was emphasizing on the village Jualbanga. The village Jualbanga is situated in the deep inside the forest of Jharkhand Forest Division and Lodha-Shuli Range and Beat Jharkhand district of West Bengal, where is inhabited by the Lodha and Santal tribes. These two tribes, the total population was 214, belonging to 38 households, of which 28 are Lodha and 10 households are belonging from the 58 population was in Santal. Santals are basically the agriculturists, and Jualbanga village, they are also practicing agricultural workers and the cultivators. The Lothas are hunter-gatherers, and they are the forest dependent, thereby have a instinct of visiting the forest still. Their diversification of life sustenance relies on the agricultural laborer also. The Lodha and Santal are living in same village with different occupational status, would have lead to malnutrition especially. Now, at the present juncture, protein calorie malnutrition among them with the sine qua non of human being is value-oriented, not the need-based motivation. An authentic development should focus on the enrichment of the human being, not seizing expansion of the extinction. Standard of living must be corollary to the standard of life, not vice versa. Now, this is the population structure of the Lodha and Santal. Lodha have the 85 males, Santal 28 male and female is 30. It has been divided in the children, then middle age and the older people in both the cases. What has been found? This is the main point where it has been, the study was emphasizing on. So bee cultivation in relation to the economy and environmental enhancement. The first pie diagram is showing that the economic status of Lodha and Santal, the male and female. This is the first quarter. This is the first quarter and third quarter. These two quarters is 23%. So they are maintaining. It was maintaining, and this third quarter, second quarter, and fourth quarter maintaining 27% in both the cases, Lodha and Santal. So it was 23 to 27. It has been enhancement with the bee cultivation. What has happened to the environmental enhancement? Environmental enhancement. So first quarter we are seeing first, second, third. 10%, then 23% to 58%. This percentage division has been enriched our environment through the bee cultivation. Why it is? Because those people were away from the forest. They were totally dependent on the forest, but now without beekeeping, so beekeeping is so interested to them. So when they are practicing this beekeeping, they are keen to the forest, and the forest canopy was development and dependence on the forest also development. So these are the honeybees, the historical honeybees, so they're responsible for the fiprolin, and the honeybees of ethnographic point of view, how the ethnography has been inculcated and enhancement, the environmental development in case of the forest and forestry orientation. The plants are attracting honeybees like the barbos, which is also attracting honeybees, the cat, because cat paint also attracted honeybees. These plants are cultivated by them, and they are also enriching the environment too. So what has happened with this study? The Entanglement created by honeybees is similar to that created by the Jualbanga people has done in terms of the coincidence of encounters of potential and appearance of gaps in the system, especially the ecosystem. Honeybees as mediators bring about coincidence in the encounters between species and create kinds. In this way, they create a lively atmosphere that tends to the species. And invasive species are distributed in clusters mainly in artificially created areas, and they have become one of the most important nectar sources attracting beekeepers. In addition, large numbers of honeybees are needed for cross-pollination in large-scale monocrop agriculture. These are consequences of this landscape colonization and are related to the root. The Jualbanga has proved its potentiality in relation to the economic and environmental application for the society at large. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Ma'am, have you presented with your PPT stuff or not?
Yes.
Have you presented with your PPT stuff?
No problem, sir.
Because we have not seen any PPT moving. Yeah, okay.
No problem.
So you cannot see this
Excellent
PPT.
lecture, madam. Excellent. Low-wise lecture. Great. Very great, madam. Thank you very much, really.
So I'm so sorry. I'm really so sorry
No
that
problem,
I
no
have
problem.
made my PPT, but
These
I
are
couldn't.
technical glitches. We should not highlight it. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Madam, thank you very much.
Thank
Now
you,
I would
thank
like
you.
to request Dr. Sakat Kumar Basu ji. Dr. Sakat Basu. Welcome. Dr. Sakat Kumar Basu, are we audible to you? Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, clear. Now stage is yours. Welcome, doctor. Welcome. Kindly continue, doctor.
Dr. Suparna should continue, or you are talking to me?
You. She has completed.
So I can start now?
She has completed, sir.
Okay. I can start now?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Agnew. So welcome everyone to on the World Bees Day. I'm going to just simply highlight why this loss of bees is getting so important. Why should we so worry about that we are losing bees? There are certain important factors. Is that bees are very important natural pollinators. They not only pollinate the crops that we are dependent upon for our commercial food production as well as various industrial crops, such as whether it is mustard or any other crops that we are talking about. 85% of the species of flowering plants are pollinated by the bees. Not only these crops, but also what is important is that the plants in the forest or the trees in the forest are exclusively dependent on these natural pollinators for the purpose of their pollination. So not only our agriculture, our forestry is also very intimately and closely associated with bees, because these giant trees in the forest, which runs in lakhs or in millions of trees, are actually pollinated by these bees. Without these bees, if the trees are not pollinated, they lose an opportunity of their reproduction for producing the next generation of plant life. And if this happens, then what happens is a total collapse of the ecosystem, because not only our agriculture, if our forests start collapsing, our ecosystem will be destabilized and we'll have a hard time in surviving, is because without bees, it is imperative that humans will also not be able to survive, because we are so intimately dependent on them because of the pollination for our food supply, for our food security, as well as for running the stability of our ecosystem. This has evolved over millions of years of evolution. Several species of bees are very highly specialized for specific species of plants. So if a particular species of plant become extinct, that particular bees which is responsible for its pollination will also become extinct, because they are very much obligatory dependent on that particular species of plant. Same is If a particular species of bees become extinct, then a particular species of plant will also become extinct because they are intimately dependent on that. And on this note, it is important to mention that not only bees, but various species of flies, beetles, moths, butterflies, bats, and various species of birds, snails, slugs, all the and various small mammals like squirrel, various different species of lizards, frogs, all, that lives in the trees, are all responsible for pollination. But why bees are important is because of the fact that they are the major pollinators. Others are subsidiary or minor pollinators, but they are the largest group of pollinators who successfully help in our agriculture as well as forestry. So we need to understand that three industries are dependent on bees. Number one is our agricultural food security, as well as commercial plant production for our industrial or chemurgic plants. Number two is forestry plants, because without the help of bees, these trees will not be pollinated and it will damage and destroy our ecosystem. And third is the beekeepers industry or the apiculture production. So if there is a huge loss of bees, then there will be an impact on the apiculture industry, and that will also impact our economic losses. And we need to find a healthy balance between our ecology and economy going side by side. While explaining the importance of bees on the World Bees Days, we also need to reflect why bees are suddenly, we are so much worried that we are losing bees. It is not only the case of bees, but we are going through a period of an insect apocalypse right at this moment. It's because of industrial agriculture, our use of fertilizers, our use of various modes of insecticides, pesticides have increased many folds. Our industry is churning out various kinds of chemicals, toxic chemicals or toxic biochemicals that are used in agriculture to control the pest. Now, while we are trying to control the pest, many of these chemicals are non-specific. They not only kill the harmful insects, but they also damage and destroy the friendly insects like bees. So the challenge is, while we are, as the agriculture is advancing in both developing and underdeveloped countries or in the developed countries, with the industrial level of agriculture making its move, what is happening is we are using way more insecticides than we need. Now, when you repeatedly use more insecticides than you need beyond its threshold level, it generates a kind of immunity response from the harmful insects. And what happens is that they become resistant to many of these chemicals. So you are increasing the chemical doses, but you are not being effectively able to kill the harmful insects. But at the same time, you are killing a large number of friendly insects like bees, beetles, other pollinators like moths and butterflies, causing a catastrophic change to our environment. Many friendly insects around the world are getting extinct even before they are discovered. So this is a very alarming phase that we are going through because it impacts our food security. The UNICEF, the United Nations, the World Health Organizations, and all other international organizations who work in conjunction with human culture, agriculture, and tradition is suggesting that the loss of bees will mean an end to human civilization, because we are so much intimately dependent on bees for various reasons, and particularly for the stability of our ecosystem and our food security. If bees are gone, we are the next species on the surface of Earth to face the dire consequences. So one is this important factor is the use of insecticide. And how is this use of insecticides impacting? Usually farmers in developed countries or even in our countries, what they do is a bright sunny day, which is when you have low wind speed, is one of the best days for doing the spraying. It is not advisable to spray during the rain or during pre or post monsoon season, is because if you spray the plants, then the droplets of water that will follow will wash off and the plants will not have the chemicals staying on their surface. If the wind is too strong, then what happens is as the plant sways and moves back and forth under the influence of the velocity of the wind that is passing through, many of the chemicals droplets that are deposited on the plants are thrown back on the soil. So it is not effectively controlling the insect pests that are causing serious damages to the plant. So what do the farmers do, or what do the sprayers do, is that on a cool, calm day, when it's a bright, sunny morning, then and the wind speed is low, this is the time when you go and spray on your field, on the crops, so that the chemical droplets that you are spraying, they stay on the leaves, stems, fruits and flowers and other parts of the plant for a considerably longer time, so that they can kill the harmful insect. But unfortunately, this is also a very good day for the pollinators to visit your field for the purpose of pollination, for the purpose of them to collect the nectaries and the pollen grains from one flower, moving from one flower to another, and also carrying them back into their hive. So three things are happening with the bees. As they are landing on the same day when the spraying is being done, then these droplets of chemical pesticides are adding on the surface of their bodies. Sometimes if it is covering their antenna, they get disoriented. They cannot find their way back into their hives or their bee boxes. This is one which is impacting their nervous system. Number two is bees have a habit of continuously cleaning. So every time they are cleaning their antenna or body parts, these small amounts of these chemicals is moving into their mouth, into their gut system, and this is poisoning and killing them. And the third part is that the smell, the velocity of the spray distracts them from their main activity of pollination, and they're dying in large numbers. Several large colonies, particularly in developed countries such as in North America, European Union, Australia, New Zealand, they are finding, or in Japan, they're finding the farmers getting up in the morning and they'll see that just in front of the bee boxes, they have millions of bees all dead or partially paralyzed that are dying. This has been regarded as a disease, as a colony collapse disorder, where the entire colony of commercial bees are dying in huge numbers, and the reason is unknown. One of the factors that has been identified, it is being identified as the spraying of neonics or the neonic pesticides. These chemicals are causing extensive damage to the bee nervous system and their immune system, and also are playing a role in their genetics down the line, which is causing them to die in huge numbers, and there has been substantial loss of bee population in many countries. However, this is not the condition in other underdeveloped countries, because particularly say in India, because we do not spray chemicals in a way that is done in industrialized countries where they use machines, where they use aircrafts to spray. And also these fields in Western countries are huge. There are farms which are 5,000 acres, 15,000 acres, 50,000 acres, 60,000 acres, gigantic farms, which is not possible to cultivate with the help of human hand. So there is artificial intelligence, robotics, drone, aircrafts, everything is being utilized, and heavy machineries that are utilized for doing all the agricultural operations. And under these circumstances, the extensive damage to the ecosystem is being done because the spraying being done by machine is very uniform, very well done, and it's also killing them in huge, large numbers. In case of countries like India, we do not have such huge fields of agricultural productivity. Our fields are small. So what happens is, so someone is growing wheat, next someone is growing vegetable, adjoining someone is growing flowers, next adjoining someone is growing sesame, adjoining in another field someone is growing mustard. So if there is a spraying in one particular field, the insects have the opportunity to move to other fields, and not everyone is spraying at the same time, because this is still not an aggressive industrial agriculture that we follow in this country. So this is quite helpful, and because they have so many species of plants available within their domain, it is actually helping them to thrive. So the quality of problem in developing countries with respect to bee death is different. Now, with commercial bees or the honey bees that we are mostly used to see, like the small bees that fly in and around and produce honey for us, these are commercially generated. These colonies are commercially, artificially generated, and you can replace the colonies. You can replace your old colonies. If your insects are dying, you can buy new colonies and replace them. So although there is a huge economic loss associated with the death of honeybees, this is not the only major concern that we have. Our major focus and concern is about the native bees. These are bees which are present in the countries and are particularly associated with a specific biogeographical area. They are not found outside that particular area. And most of these native bees are extremely important, not just for pollinating your crops, but also for pollinating forest trees and plants which maintain the health of our ecosystem. Contrary to our belief that most bees build hives, many of these native bees that I'm talking about usually do not make hives on the trees or do not live in bee boxes. They are also not very good in commercial production of honey. Usually they make small colonies and they penetrate deep into the soil. They live in the soil. Now what happens is, because of this fertilizer is being sprayed and following irrigation water or rainwater, this water percolates into those holes in which these bees make their nest. A large number of native bee species are actually soil dwellers. They do not live on trees. They do not live on hedges and bushes. They live underneath the soil. And as these chemicals percolate into their colonies, what happens is the most important member of a bee colony is the queen bee. If the queen bee is killed, then the multiplication of the production of small bees become completely stopped and the population crashes. So because these water are infiltrating into the soil and killing these native bees, their entire population is crashed. 97% of the population is dead. Sometimes 98, 99% of the population is dead. This is causing a havoc in our bee industry, as also for the natural ecological system, because our bees are dying in millions because of anthropogenic activities, because of selfish human activities of too much pollution, change in the land use patterns, change in the way how we are spraying things. While the machines are making the spraying of insecticides and pesticides extremely specialized and very well and effective, it is killing these bees, the helpless pollinators, in large numbers. So we are becoming counterproductive. In one way, we are trying to secure agriculture, but in the other way, we are destroying the friends of agriculture in the same way. So that, and because many of the multinational companies, particularly chemical companies that produce these chemicals, synthetic chemicals, artificial fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides, they are politically powerful. They walk through the power corridors of various countries, and so they have a strong influence on the lawmakers. So people are not being able to control the use of these chemicals around the world, because these chemical companies are extremely powerful and influential. So there is less and less control on them, and there is more and more impact of farmers out of out of their security concern that they may lose crops, are utilizing more and more of these pesticides beyond the threshold level, increasing the resistance of the unfriendly insects, which are the pests, as also killing the bees in huge numbers. All other pollinators are also impacted, but the bees, and with particular emphasis to the native bees, are worst impacted. Similarly, in countries like India and Bangladesh, where there is these wild bees, where do we see these wild bees? Some of these Apis dorsata, wild type, or the hill type, these bees move from the northeast and they make nests and their hives in the Sundarban areas. And these honey, the mangal honey, which is produced mostly from the nectaries and pollen grains of plants that come from the mangrove forest, they are extremely nutritious, rich in various nutrients, and extremely valuable in the international market. But people take extreme risks to go out into this forest, which is infested with tigers, snakes, and other very deadly wildlife. And they have a regular interaction where you would see that people are being killed by tigers, or they are getting snake bites and stuff while getting into the forest to collect and harvest honey legally or illegally. This is outside commercial bee production that I'm talking about. It is causing, because they use crude methods to move away bees by using fumes and firing, and those causes death of a large number of bees. At the same time, the bee colonies are impacted. There is high level of impurity that comes into this. So these wild bee populations are impacted by overharvest in our country. This is also impacting the bee population. And overall, as you could see, this indiscriminate spraying of insecticides, whether it's a developed or undeveloped countries, is a big challenge. Now, the solution for this, what we are looking for, is to reduce the level. It is impossible to stop the use of chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides overnight. It needs time to phase out, and also phasing out is not so easy, particularly for giant commercial agriculture that we have. So we are encouraging farmers to reduce the use of pesticides so that they do not cross the threshold level so that they kill the bees. Sometimes it is recommended that you spray during the night time or afternoon when all these insect pollinators are gone. Like once the night falls or the sunlight goes down, then these insects will leave in large numbers. Then the toxic and harmful pests will still be on the plants. So spraying during the night time can be another alternative opportunity to reduce the death of bees, to reduce the level and the concentration of the chemicals that are being relentlessly used, to change various neonics, synthetic pesticides that we are using is another important stuff. We need to legislate new rules and regulations for how to use pesticides. This needs to be monitored and surveillance both in developing and underdeveloped countries, because indiscriminate use is actually the root cause of the death and destruction of bees in huge numbers. As also establishment of pollinator sanctuaries or pollinator gardens, where we are encouraging people to grow as many as possible flowering plants in your backyards, in the kitchen gardens, in around wilderness areas, around forest fringes, in agriculturally unusable land, urban areas, rural areas, waste areas, areas not suitable for agricultural production could be converted into bee pollinators, or outside the perimeters of your farm, or areas of farm where it is difficult to move around and do agriculture. So any discarded part of your farm, any discarded part of the highways, any discarded part of waterways that we have, ponds, bogs, swamps, etc., all could help in generating very cheap pollinator sanctuary gardens. That will not only help for the bees to thrive, but it will also help the local biodiversity to thrive. My research in Canada and United States have demonstrated this, that this is very cheap method of developing pollinator mixes, which means mixes of various flowering species of plants, particularly specific for a particular biogeographical region, where the flowering periods do not merge at the same time, so that the overlapping flowering periods could be used, so that one species of plant stop flowering and the next species continue flowering throughout the flowering season, so the bees could get adequate nectaries and pollen grains throughout the growing season. Still, like during monsoon season or during winter in Western countries, when they are completely restrained within the bee boxes and are fed on sugary water or sugary exudates for them to survive those lean periods. Other than that, our pollinator sanctuary gardens can play a very significant and important role in helping in the bee conservation. And it's a very cheap approach and a cheap method where you just need to broadcast seed for one particular season, and because we have mixture of annual, perennial, biennial plants, the plants will regenerate and come back after one after another. They will produce seed that will be again broadcasted by the plants themselves, and this process creates a history of plants coming up and maintains a cycle so that the plants bees can get an adequate supply of nutrients. Also, there is need for education and awareness among the public at primary, secondary, and tertiary level of education to understand the importance of bees, and all our newer citizens, which is the future of our country, to take active part in protecting bees, conserving bees, so that we can have bee nests without causing them any destruction, helping them to multiply, helping them to thrive for a better ecosystem tomorrow. With this, I finish my presentation for the Bee Day tonight. And it has been a pleasure being a part of this program. And thanks to Dr. Pavan and Dr. Agniatri for inviting me once again to this August platform. It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
गजब सकत जी, गजब। आप बोलना शुरू करते हो तो रुक जाती है गाड़ी, तो यूं लगता है क्यों अचानक रुक गई। Why it has been stopped? Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. It has been again a pleasure to be a part of your program.
Wish your mission to be success. आपने जिनके लिए सोचा है, उनके लिए किसी ने नहीं सोचा। ये भी एक बड़ी बात है। बीज एक ऐसी है कि एक मक्खी भी घर में घुस आती है तो हम उसको निकाल के जब तक निकाल नहीं लेते गाड़ी में से या घर में से, तब तक दम नहीं लेते। और आप उनको बचाने की सोचते हैं। ये बड़ा गजब है, गजब।
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think this will generate a little bit of education and awareness among people too, so that, like, हम इसे यूज कर सकते हैं इसीलिए. ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, Professor Mohan Sharma ji, and thank you, Dr. Sekhar Kumar Basu ji. Really, your each and every word was so important in reference to the bee and bees protection, and of course the importance of bees work, especially the queen bee. So many things we have just read in say sixth or seventh standard, but now they are maintaining our life. We can say, in other words, it depends. Totally depends upon the ecology as well as the economy, as you told, like this. I've got a small, silly question. Question means just a query that we know, also know about the honeybee. And for honeybee in Hindi, in North India, word is used as mon palan. I still failed to collect the basic understanding or meaningfulness of that mon, whether it is silence or how the honey is being manufactured with the help of the honeybees and named as mon palan. Have you got any idea? I will be obliged to have this information from your side. Thank you.
Dr. Agnihotri, I was unable to hear your question. Can you just repeat it one more time for me, please?
Okay, thank you. We are interested to know about the honeybee, and in Hindi, in North India, it is a sort of small industry or forming the artificial honey, we can say, with the help of the honeybees. The work Madhumakhi. So the work is known in Hindi as Mon Palan. So I don't understand that what does it mean in any of the word in Sanskrit, Hindi or English. Mon Palan, what it represents.
One important thing to realize is, like, we classify bee into two artificial major groups. One is the honeybee, the madhumakshi that you see that produces the honey, and the other group of bees are the native bees that do not produce commercial honey. Like, they do produce some honey, but it is not commercially viable to use them. But these species are very important for the pollination purpose, for the natural pollination. Only honeybees cannot pollinate so many different species of plants. They have a wide diversity of species which cater to different species of plants. So in India, unfortunately, we are more focused on the commercial bees, the honeybees, the madhumakshi that we are talking about. There is very little data and information available on the native bees. What is their status, how they are doing, whether many of them have already become extinct. The Zoological Survey of India or other allied universities and stuff have not done any significant research work on the native bees of India. The only native bees that we do hear about is the native bees from the Sundarban region that we talked about. But other than that, there are several other native bees that is spread across this rich biodiversity country. We have very little information and data on that. This is very unfortunate. We do need to focus on this and identify, other than this madhumakshi that we are talking about, the wild bees that we have. We need to have targeted information about that. We do not have necessary information on that to provide a data on the basis of this. This is urgently required. आपका म्यूट हो गया.
Okay, I was just having one small information that your nature bee and our domestic bee, that is the Musca domestica, is both are same.
Musca domestica, this housefly that we have, they belong to the same family, but they are not the honeybee ones. But to tell you the truth, these bees, any kind of flies that we have, whether the honeybees is also a kind of a fly, but all these flies, because they have many hairs on their body, they help in pollination. Bees are more effective in pollination because of their hairy body. But this Musca domestica, the small flies that we see, they also take part in pollination, but they are not as effective.
आपका म्यूट हो गया. आपका म्यूट हो गया आपका सर. आवाज नहीं बंद हो गई.
The housefly belongs to the same family as the madhumakshi. But the housefly they also play a role in pollination, but they are not as effective and efficient as the honeybees or other forms of bees. But they belong to the same, they are cousins. They belong to the same family, different, same groups. Yeah.
Thank you.
Even mosquitoes, the male mosquitoes are also responsible for pollination. You know, not many people know about this, but male mosquitoes also help in pollination. I would have shared a picture of a male mosquito helping in pollination. So male mosquitoes also help in pollination because they do not drink blood. Only the female mosquitoes take blood for their life cycle part. Male mosquitoes survive on the plant sap or juices of trees and plants. So they also help in pollination. So everyone helps in pollination in some way or other, but bees are the best one. This is what I'm saying.
Great.
And the worst situation is with the bees. Bees are doing the worst.
But great information for the male mosquitoes also. They are also
yes, they are helpful. Male mosquitoes are helpful. They help in pollination too.
They are the givers, and female
they are the givers. They are the givers.
Taker.
Not as efficient as bees, but they do also help in pollination.
While the female is the takers.
The females are the takers. Even the humble squirrel that we see, they also help in pollination. The tota that we see, the ring-necked parakeets and other birds, the sunbirds, the tailor birds, they all, any species that move from one flower to another, including even lizards and small frogs, they all help in pollination. But bees.
Okay, sir. Yeah, getting okay. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Now session is open, sir.
Thank you so much. Yes, we are running within time limits. It's really wonderful, and we are getting all the information. Of course, it's small information, but of big importance. So with the open session, I would like to call Dr. Nitin Umalia ji on today's topic, both the topics, and for Hindi भाषाभाषी क्षेत्र मैं उनसे कुछ जानना चाहूंगा कि मौन पालन शब्द जो यूज हुआ है, हमारा क्वेश्चन अभी थोड़ा सा और नहीं हमें क्लियर करना था, उसके बारे में बताएंगे, और हमारी शनि जयंती के क्रम से और लेके भी बीज रोल्स के लिए भी वर्ल्ड बीज के बारे में थोड़ा चर्चा करिए। आपके आदम प्रोफेसर निशांत शुक्ला जी को इनवाइट करते हैं। तो पहले डॉक्टर जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार, धन्यवाद सर। तो सर बहुत अच्छा टॉपिक था आज का, जैसे शनि की ग्रह दशा और आपका ये वर्ल्ड बीज डे था। तो शनि की ग्रह दशा से इसमें मैं बताना चाहूंगा काय बाल ग्रह ऊर्ध्वांग शल्य दष्ट जरा वृषान, ये 8 अंग हमारे आयुर्वेद के। काय बाल ग्रह थर्ड फॉर्म में ही आ जाता है। तो जो ग्रह का इम्पैक्ट पहले भी बहुत ज्यादा पड़ता था, और अगर हमारा फेथ है तो आज की डेट में भी हम अपनी ग्रह दशा देखें तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारी कुछ प्रॉब्लम निकलती है कि शनि की ग्रह दशा है तो ये कर लो, वहां के दान दे दो या वहां के दर्शन कराओ, ये सब है। तो अगर हमारे मानने ना मानने के ऊपर है सर हमारा, और मेरे ख्याल से अगर आयुर्वेद को अगर हम मानते हैं तो एस्ट्रोलॉजी भी माननी पड़ेगी आपको। तो ग्रह दशा का बहुत बड़ा रोल है। जैसे शनि की ग्रह दशा ये मैंने बहुत सुना था, और काल सर्प योग इसके साथ जुड़ा भी रहता है। तो ऐसा करके लोग इसका उसका सोल्यूशन भी निकालते हैं और बहुत सारी चीजों से ग्रसित रहते हैं। तो हमारा ग्रह को मानना बहुत युक्ति संगत है, मतलब कोई एक्स्ट्रा चीज नहीं है कि हम बड़े मॉडर्न जैसे बने कि हम ग्रह को नहीं मानते हैं या कुछ है। ये हमारी भारतीय परंपरा में ही हमारे उसमें रहा है और हमें मानना भी चाहिए। अगर आप आयुर्वेद की पैथी को मानते हैं तो आयुर्वेद आपको ये भी मानना पड़ेगा। तो शनि की ग्रह दशा में मैडम का बहुत अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन था। और सेकंड टॉपिक मेरा बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग था, बीज। इसमें एक्चुअली ये अगतंत्र का भी मेरा इनपुट है, इसमें थोड़ा सा बुराई भी है, थोड़ी सी अच्छाई भी है, दोनों है। तो इसमें मैं बोलना चाहूंगा कि हमारे 8 प्रकार की माक्षिक का वर्णन दिया गया है। उस पौतिक, भ्रामर, छौद्र, ये इस तरह करके हैं करके। तो उसमें एक पार्ट है मधुमक्खी का। तो मधुमक्खी का इसकी पॉइजनिंग का भी दिया गया है, और इसका पॉइजनिंग का ट्रीटमेंट भी आयुर्वेद में बहुत अच्छा दिया गया है। और एक बार मैंने बहुत पहले जिक्र किया था कुछ दिन पहले, एपीथेरेपी। तो एपीथेरेपी मैं सैकत जी से डिस्कस करना चाहूंगा। सर, योर प्रेजेंटेशन वाज वेरी नाइस एंड हियर आई हैव वन क्वेश्चन, इज एपीथेरेपी इज अवेलेबल इन योर सर कंट्री और नॉट? सैकत सर। मेरे ख्याल से नहीं है वो। अच्छा, वो नहीं है, नहीं है जी। सर आप म्यूट है सर आप।
हाँ, मैंने कहा अभी वो लिस्ट में नहीं है, अगर आपकी आवाज उन्होंने सुन ली होगी, लीव नहीं किया होगा तो जुड़ भी सकते हैं किसी टाइम।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
हाँ।
जी 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 जी, तो उसमें
नहीं, आपने
एपीथेरेपी।
आपने पिछले दिन बताया था ना, मधुमक्खी से कटवाते हैं किसी
जी 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 जी
पॉइजनिंग
जी
के।
जी
जी, तो
जी
मैंने
जी
कहा
जी
था
जी
कि मधुमक्खी आपके कंट्रोल में है क्या, तो
जी जी जी
वो आप ट्रिगर कर दीजिए।
जी जी जी। तो वो एपीथेरेपी का बहुत अच्छा रोल है, इतना भी बहुत जबरदस्त पेन हो आपको बॉडी में, तो यहाँ मधुमक्खी में एपामिन करके एक केमिकल पाया जाता है। वो केमिकल को ड्रॉप करते हैं तो उससे एक इरिटेशन होता है नर्व्स में, और नर्व्स की वजह से वो जो आपका पेन का सेंसेशन है वो थोड़ा सा एनेस्थेटाइज टाइप का हो जाता है। तो उसका बहुत अच्छा रोल है जबरदस्त एपीथेरेपी का, बिल्कुल सीवियर पेन में। ये मैंने बहुत जगह पढ़ा है, और इसका है मधुमक्खी पालन केंद्र भी है, और मैंने गूगल में ढूंढा था तो इसका मधुमक्खी सेंटर भी है। एपीथेरेपी के भी कांटेक्ट नंबर दिए हुए थे उसमें, अगर आप ढूंढेंगे तो कहीं ना कहीं मिल जाएगा। मतलब कम से कम बड़ी बड़ी सिटीज में तो अवेलेबल है, आई थिंक सो, क्योंकि उसमें दिया हुआ था ऐसा करके, इंडिया में बहुत सारे पार्ट्स में दिया हुआ था। तो वही मैं बोलना चाहूंगा, मधुमक्खी का चलन रहा है। और इससे क्यों डरते हैं? क्योंकि ये झुंड में होती है। एक या दो मधुमक्खी होगी तो हम नहीं डरेंगे कभी भी। ये झुंड में होती हैं तो एक जहां जाती है सारी वहीं तरफ ही आती हैं। तो हम इससे क्यों डरते हैं? क्योंकि ये एपामिन रिलीज करती है, और हमारे तुरंत बॉडी में स्वेलिंग और एलर्जिक रिएक्शन ये बॉडी में तुरंत होते हैं। तो तुरंत होने की वजह से अगर बहुत ज्यादा हमने काट दिया तो थोड़ा सा लेवल बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है, और कई बार सीवियरिटी पे हो जाता है। हाइपर सेंसिटिविटी अगर आपकी बहुत ज्यादा है मधुमक्खी के केमिकल के प्रति, तो इवन डेथ भी हो सकती है। तो इसलिए वो डर के मारे और उनकी पीड़ा के मारे कि मतलब हम आज काट दिया तो फिर हम कुछ दिन के लिए गए बेड रेस्ट में, ये इस डर के मारे हम इनसे थोड़ा बचते ही है, अवॉइड करते हैं इसको। लेकिन इसका अच्छा रिजल्ट भी है, एपीथेरेपी वगैरह भी है, मधुमक्खी पालन केंद्र चल रहे हैं, उनका शहद ही हम यूज करते हैं, और जो कि हमारा बेस्ट कफ शामक होता है। तो इसके लिए हम मतलब उन्हीं से ही हमको मिलता है, उन्हीं से हम बचते हैं। तो दोनों एंगल है हमारे पास। तो हमें थोड़ा सा ये देखना चाहिए कि इनसे हम क्या फायदा ले सकते हैं। जैसे एपीथेरेपी टाइप का फायदा है, तो इसका हमें थोड़ा सा करना चाहिए। आप सेका सर तो शायद वो हो गए, नहीं तो मैं और
कोई
कंफर्म करता।
कोई बात नहीं। डॉक्टर नितिन जी, आपका जो चर्चा आज आई सामने, मैं
जी
सोचता हूँ
जी
प्रोफेसर पवन शर्मा जी शायद मधुमक्खी पर एक्सक्लूसिवली कोई वेबिनार भी रख सकेंगे।
जी
आप
जी जी
उसके
जी
प्रॉस और कॉन्स को निपटाते हुए। लेकिन एक चीज आपने देखी होगी,
जी।
होता है मिथ।
हम एपीथेरेपी पे ही रखना चाहेंगे सर।
सर यही यही
बिल्कुल 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 सर,
निचोड़
बिल्कुल
यही था
सर।
कि चले गए मधुमक्खी से और एपीथेरेपी तक पहुंचे गए। इंपॉर्टेंट
जी
पॉइंट
जी
ये था, शायद ये मेरा मिथ हो या वास्तविकता, आपने भी देखा होगा इतने अनुभव में। आपने
जी
देखा
जी
होगा
जी।
नीम के पेड़ों पर बड़े बड़े मधुमक्खी छत्ते लगते हैं, 10-10 हजार मधुमक्खियां तो आती होंगी, और
बिल्कुल
5-5 10-10
बिल्कुल
किलो के
सर,
बनते हैं, ठीक है। और कई
बिल्कुल
बार
सर।
अपने इमारतों में, हमारे ही मकान के बाहर गोल जो था उसमें लग जाती है, धीरे 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 पांच पांच 10 किलो क्या। लेकिन इसमें एक चीज में देखी है, क्या ये मिथ है या
जी
वास्तविकता है? हमें तो वास्तविकता लगती है कि बसंत
जी।
ऋतु के बाद अगर उसको छत्ता वत्ता नहीं तोड़ा जाता है तो ये
हाँ,
पूरा शहद पी जाती है और छत्ता खाली करके चली जाती है, बिल्कुल सूखा वो रह जाता है खाली उनका केश। क्या ये है, इसमें आपने
जी
ऐसा
जी
कोई
जी
अनुभव
जी
किया
जी।
है? देखते देखते खाली
नहीं,
कर
ये
देते।
बिल्कुल सही है सर।
जी
वो
जी
तो उनका ही खाना है।
जी जी जी, नहीं वो
आदमी तो
सही
छीन
बात,
लेता है
सही
उनसे।
बात,
छीन लेता
वो
है
तो
अगर
उन
सही
समय।
बात है।
बेचारों को ही
हम
खाना है।
जी,
दे आर
पूरा साफ।
बिल्कुल
स्टोरिंग फूड फॉर
बिल्कुल।
देमसेल्फ।
जी
एग्जैक्टली, नहीं
जी
वो
जी
देती
जी जी
देती
जी।
है
हम लोग डकैती कर लेते हैं उसमें से।
डकैती।
और
नहीं,
इस
अगर अगर डकैती समझ ना की, वो आपको कहती है अलर्ट हो जाओ, टाइम है ले, तो वो बिल्कुल पी जाती है, बिल्कुल खाली खोखा
जी जी जी,
खोखा ऐसा रहता है, हाथ से निचोड़ लो।
बिल्कुल करेक्ट बात है, करेक्ट
हाँ,
बात है सर।
क्योंकि मेरे अपने
लेकिन
मकान में
सर
तो।
ये इसमें जी जी, बताएं सर, बताएं सर।
हाँ, मेरे अपने मकान में हम लोग देखते रहे, और फिर हिम्मत तो पड़ती नहीं है। अगर उनको मधुमक्खियों
जी
निकालना है तो वही कपड़े में, बांस में कपड़ा लपेट के और मिट्टी
जी
तेल लगा के आग लगाए
जी
तो
जी
भाग जाती हैं गर्मी पाके, और फिर आदमी निकाल सकता
जी
है। लेकिन अगर लेट हो
जी
गए, पता लगा वो छत्ता आपको खाली मिलेगा। बाद
जी
बाकी ऐसे ऐसे
जी जी।
छत्तों ऐसे छत्तों को फिर वो जलेबी के बक्खर में डुबो के, वो जो कंजड़िए लोग आते हैं, घर घर शहद ले लो
जी
शहद, वो
जी
विशुद्ध रूप
जी
से
जी जी
वो
जी,
नकली शहद दे जाते हैं।
बिल्कुल
छत्ता
बिल्कुल
धोते
सर।
हैं।
आदरणीय
सर
जी जी
मूर्ति जी
सर।
कुछ बोलेंगे इस विषय में? आज हमारे साथ मूर्ति जी जुड़े हुए हैं। आदरणीय मूर्ति जी।
बहुत बढ़िया सेमिनार सर। मुझे मौका दिया है, थैंक यू। बहुत बढ़िया बोले हैं। वक्ता भी, दोनों वक्ता भी है। और मधुमक्खी नहीं होता तो कोई भी जीव जंतु नहीं होता तो मानव की मनगढ़ मानव की जीवन की आगे बढ़ना ही मुश्किल हो जाती है, क्योंकि मैन इज ए सोशल एनिमल एंड हमारी जो हर चीज के लिए हम दूसरे से डिपेंडेंट है। तो ये बात तो हमको ध्यान में रखना है, और मधुमक्खी का भी ध्यान रखना जरूरी है, क्योंकि जो अभी जो वक्ताओं ने कह दिए थे, जो दीज आर ऑल वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द agricultural production. Without agricultural production we cannot live. So agricultural production, forest production, and then honey production, for all these things it is very important. So we must take care for the bee and its population. It is the most important thing. Thank you.
कल 2 दिन है सर, एक तो टी डे है, तो हम लोग वेबिनार कर रहे हैं टी एक्सपर्ट्स के साथ, टी एंड हर्बल टी। इसमें डॉक्टर राकेश जोप जुड़ेंगे बुडापेस्ट से, हंगरी से, डॉक्टर देवजीत फ्रॉम जोरहाट आसाम, एंड डॉक्टर नीलाक्षी फ्रॉम गुवाहाटी। ये एक वेबिनार होगी 8 बजे से। और सेकंड वेबिनार हमारी एक बड़ा यूनिक डे है जो फॉरेन में मनाते हैं, टेक योर पेरेंट्स टू प्लेग्राउंड डे। अब इसको कैसे जोड़ता मैं आयुर्वेद से या हेल्थ से? उनने तो कह दिया अपने पेरेंट्स को पकड़ के और खेल के मैदान में ले जाओ। तो हमने उसका टॉपिक चुना, फिजिकल गेम्स फॉर सीनियर सिटीजन्स। प्रोफेसर एस.के. बंदोपाध्याय 74 प्लस, एक्स डायरेक्टर मेडिकल एजुकेशन वेस्ट बंगाल, डॉक्टर साधना वायकर 74 प्लस, 70 प्लस I hope, she is also, and Dr. Pranjal Joshi of young age, approximately 25-26. So all age will guide us regarding physical games for senior citizens. It will be unique subject, I hope, because generally most of us belongs to that category, and that will be guideline for us.
I think Dr. Pranjal Joshi will play the role of taking the senior citizen parents away to the fields, because he is the younger most.
ये एस.के. बंदोपाध्याय जी इस उम्र में भी टेनिस खेलते हैं, स्विमिंग करते हैं, कंटिन्यूअस जॉग ट्रैकिंग भी कभी कभी कर लेते हैं। मैंने की गजब हिम्मत है साहब आपकी, गजब हिम्मत। तो निशांत शुक्ला जी बाकी हैं सर, फिर अकरे जी से समापन कराएं। आप म्यूट हैं।
प्रोफेसर निशांत शुक्ला जी, स्वागत है आपका। आपके विचार आमंत्रित है। नमस्कार। हाँ जी, शुक्ला जी सर, आपका नेटवर्क ठीक काम कर रहा है तो आइए, आपका स्वागत है। आज के दोनों टॉपिक्स पर थोड़ा चर्चा बताइए। नमस्कार।
Are we audible to you, Dr. Nishant Shukla ji? I hope he is not connected. तो मैं मृणाल जी से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि आज वो कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स दें।
ओके सर। सर, आज 2 वेबिनार हुए। एक हुआ शनि जयंती के उपलक्ष्य में और दूसरा सर क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन पे। तो सर शनि जयंती का तो ठीक है, क्योंकि वो थोड़ा सा एक माइथोलॉजिकल और एक थोड़ा एस्पेक्ट होता है, लेकिन सर जो क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन पे जो वेबिनार हुआ वो बहुत ही अच्छा था, जिसमें मैडम ने जो भी हमें बातें बताई अबाउट बी वैक्स हो गया या बीज के बारे में, तो हम लोग भी है ना, जैसे आयुर्वेद में बहुत से है ना जो हनी है, हनी एज एन अनुपान करके यूज करते हैं या एज एन मेडिकेशन करके देते हैं, लेकिन हनी का जो प्रोडक्शन है उसके ऊपर हम लोग ध्यान नहीं देते सर। तो उन्होंने जो बातें बताई है वो बहुत ही रोचक थी और ध्यान में रखने वाली बातें थी। सर उनकी बातों पर से मुझे एक ये याद है, सर गुजरात में एक बीएमएस डॉक्टर है जो हॉर्टिकल्चर करते हैं, खुद हनी डेवलप करते हैं, खुद हनी का प्रोडक्शन करते हैं। और उस हनी प्रोडक्शन में सर वो जनरली जैसे हमारे संहिताओं में जो हनी के 4 प्रकार बताए हैं, तो वो उन 4 प्रकार के हनी वो हम लोगों को दिखाते हैं कि इसे हम लोग भ्रमर कह सकते हैं, इसे माक्षिक कह सकते हैं। तो ये जो मैडम ने जैसे बीज के बारे में अगर बताया, तो मे बी वो जो बीज के अलग टाइप्स है या जिस तरीके से वो कलेक्ट करते हैं या टाइम ऑफ कलेक्शन, उसके ऊपर हम लोग उसका सोच विचार कर सकते हैं। सो दोनों
हमें
ही
रेफर
वेबिनार
कीजिए, हम उनको इनवाइट करके और डेफिनेटली उनसे ज्ञान अर्जन करेंगे।
श्योर सर, श्योर सर। सर मैं उनका कांटेक्ट नंबर आपको भेजूंगा सर।
और उनसे एक बार बात भी कीजिएगा, नितिन जी के मन में वो एक एपीथेरेपी, एपीथेरेपी भी, तो वो एक बड़ा यूनिक सब्जेक्ट होगा यदि हम कोई एपीथेरेपी एक्सपर्ट को ही खोज लें।
जी सर,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, बहुत ये रहेगा सर, अच्छा रहेगा वो।
हाँ, तो वो निश्चित एक से एक संपर्क सूत्र अपने विषय में आ ही जाएंगे। तो बहुत अच्छा लगा।
बिल्कुल सर, एकदम बढ़िया थे सर वेबिनार सर।
और मूर्ति जी से मेरा आग्रह है, आदरणीय मूर्ति जी भी ज्योतिष के बहुत बड़े ज्ञाता हैं, तो मैं मूर्ति जी से प्रार्थना करूंगा कृपया जुड़ते रहें। जैसे टीवी न्यूज चैनल में न्यूज चलती है, ऐसी अपनी आयुर्वेद की ज्ञान गंगा रूम में बहती रहे, तो हमें बड़ा आशीर्वाद मिलेगा। मूर्ति जी
सर समय मिलेगा तो आपके वेबिनार में जोड़ते रहेंगे। कुछ घर की भी बहुत सारी चीजें हो जाती है, इसलिए कभी कभी मिल जाता हूँ।
अभी आप कहाँ हैं?
मैं भी वाराणसी में ही हूँ।
वाह 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 वाह, तो जय काशी विश्वनाथ।
आप सब लोग हमारे 100 फंदों वाले 1000 फंदों वाले स्वेटर के पूरे सहायक हैं। हमारा 1000 फंदों वाला स्वेटर जो है इतनी जल्दी बिनता है, जैसा आप लोगों की क्रियाकलापों पर सहयोग पर निर्भर करता है,
आशीर्वाद पर निर्भर करता है।
जी, आशीर्वाद भी आपके साथ साथ मिलता रहे, यही शुभकामनाएं हैं।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। निशांत जी, आप क्या, हम ऑडिबल हैं क्या? निशांत शुक्ला जी, शायद वो संपर्क में नहीं है। सभी को शुभ रात्रि, कल मिलते हैं। बहुत बहुत शुभ रात्रि। थैंक यू,
नमस्कार।
गुड नाइट सर।